Okay, we're up.
You're like, okay, let's call the meeting to order. Call this meeting, Jefferson Township Trustee Board to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There may be somebody running into one for the girl school supply, by the way. Yeah, that's what I thought. Do we have a motion to approve last meeting minutes? I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All in favor, Belcher? We met last month. Or should we, if we're on live, you know, have you ever watched the interviews? You know, somebody who's here on the live feed for everyone.
Oh, could say, Matthew here.
Present today for me is myself, trustee Chris Lane, secretary Ann Smith, financial advisor Gary Kiesling, absent, president Max Soliday. July 16, 2025. That's what I feel like they rolled out there. Yeah, because we just met last month. Okay. We're going to discuss new law. So I went on the 23rd of June to IPA training with the Township Association, a training seminar that was held with them at the DLGF. I always wondered too, I guess you could go back and watch this recording, it helped with your notes. I just thought of that.
Oh.
It was always recorded too on a little thing. So I guess I had some notes on some bigger takeaways that, according to the seminar that we're going to be looking at. One of the biggest was according to the DLGF, according to 2027. Actually, I may have spoke earlier. The LIT, which is our local income tax, it says it's changing to 0.05% if the council approves it for the general fund only. They can decide whether to file a resolution to the county for LIT. The form will be available. The fire lit may get some, but not necessarily. So
Changed to what?
0.05%.
From, you know, what,
I don't know, honestly. They didn't say. I didn't have the breakdown rates.
yeah.
I just know that we get about $2,500, $2,700 a month for lit funds now on a monthly basis, and then we get a different little installment of lit stuff specifically for fire protection and fire heating. And it's usually that long time. It's very minimal. The biggest takeaway, to be frank, is the local government finance had no idea what was going to happen. They didn't have any direction from the state. Either they're scrambling on their end prior to budget season starting now to give us direction, because they're the ones that has to give us direction on budget, and they said we don't know. That the state legislators passed this vague laws with no direction for them. So they fully anticipated to have a lot of amendments come up. Most of that stuff will take actually place in 2027. The biggest one is they did implement, which we discussed in the last meeting, the capital improvement plan and township. I'm sorry, let me take it back. They implemented the road and infrastructure fund that we have to start putting into, and if I understood right, in September, at the end of September this year. They didn't tell us how we're supposed to do it, where we're supposed to put this fund, but this is just kind of a vague breakdown. Actually, I've got a picture of breaking that really good. I might get the screen. Actually, I might send it. Did I send it to you guys?
Something.
Yeah, I thought I sent you some pictures of the form. Yeah, basically they take whatever our total township funds in all categories, which when I did this a few weeks ago, it was 400, this for simple math, 495,000. And then you subtract any restricted funds. So we were subtracted 57.2 from donation. Well, and that's the bad thing too, is they couldn't tell us whether donation funds are restricted or not. And we all argued about that, and they said, well, of course they're restricted. And they said, they're not sure if they're gonna say, well, it needs to say that when this was donated 10 years ago, that $5 was specifically for, so
which, the, I mean,
right now, they couldn't tell me whether the donation fund is technically restricted or not. Fire is restricted, and fire Q is restricted, and quarterly is restricted. So basically, the things that are not, the general fund is not restricted, a recreation fund is not restricted, and if you had a rainy day fund, it's not restricted, which we don't. But if you do the math on all those, then we would technically have $126,140 in unrestricted funds as the moment when I took the numbers. So then we would have to take 30% of that, which is about $30,000, and move it over to this specific fund. Grab that, because that's going to just bring an answer on top of it.
I have no idea who that is.
But that
Thank you for calling Jefferson Township Trustees Office. Our hours are Monday and Wednesday, 7 to noon, Friday, 7 to 4. Our food pantry is open on Fridays from 10 to 4. Please leave a message and I'll return your call just as soon as possible.
And then as they put it, they said, well, there's no direction on, because I asked, I said, well, okay, how do we, who gets these funds? How do we manage the funds? How do we make sure, do I have to have roads repaired or whatever, you know? They said, there's no, what they anticipate is we hold the money in said fund, and if the town is doing a project or the county is doing a project in the township, they can submit a request to the advisory board and myself for, hey, we need $10,000 to fix Slogan Road. They said, you don't have to approve the request according to the state statute. It says that you have to take their request. And as he put it, he said, you can deny all the requests you want. He said, but at some point, you're going to have some political backlash. And why are you not, you know, why are you
the county going to cover all that.
Well, that's the whole, that's all
They come back and ask everyone in the township.
Exactly. And that's what the state wants, is they think that they don't know what we do. One of the big points that we had was the attorney for the ITA. He stood up there in front of everybody, the state and all, and said, I have met with the Ways and Means Committee chairman, which is one of the senators. He said on multiple occasions, he said, they do not like trustees. They don't care what the trustees are doing. They want you out of business. Period. He said they're coming for you hard. He said that's why they tried to get rid of you this year. He said they're still going to try to get rid of you. So I think at this point they're trying to break us. You know, if they take 30% every year, you know, $30,000 each year, then by next year we won't have anything. You know, if we have a roof problem or furnace go out, taxes pay for that. You know, we won't have any funds. And that part of that's where they suggest, they say we need to do a capital improvement plan. So we can try to keep some of it back to work on your building, if that's what it takes, or if we have a project. And some other people say, hey, you know, we're saving money to build a park. We've been keeping money back in our recreation fund for 4 years trying to get that park, as an example. And they said, you don't have a capital improvement plan showing what you're trying to do, that money's under. So, I'm going to jump ahead of myself there, but in that, so I've got a capital improvement plan here, which would be resolution 25-8, if you approve it. This district, and it's going through, given a brief, I shouldn't say brief, but given a description of what we'd like to do is, you know, for the food pantry, we did another 87 people this week, or 87 families, is we'd like to be able to build a building, or add on to the building on the back and put a cooler, walk-in freezer combo. And it'd take us probably 3 or 4 years to save enough money to do it. And that's what this breaks down, I think, it's a 3-year plan. Then we may have to modify it or do an amendment to it, or, as we go. Because the price, that's the bad thing, is we plan for an hour, the prices are gonna go up before we get to that point. I got it broken down to 2 year right now. And the DLDF is supposed to come up with an actual form to help us with this, but they don't have it right now. But, I sat back and I was looking at trying to think, what is the biggest need that, we don't need to buy park equipment necessarily in the park department. We don't need the vehicle or whatever out, but, it's the biggest thing we could use would be some kind of large refrigeration unit. So that's what I propose, and obviously it's up to you guys.
That whole room designed to be in the future.
There would be a cooler and freezer, walk-in cooler freezer, and if it's big enough, I don't have dimensions. That's the thing, the capital improvement plan doesn't have to be specifically like, hey, here's the architectural. It's just, here's our plan that we would like to do. So size-wise, if we had dry storage, that would be great, But
how big is it?
they said I don't have that
Oh.
yet. Yeah, that's in part of the plan, it probably calls for getting the architectural stuff all.
Oh, okay.
Like, 1 through 6 is finalizing the project scope, getting bids, we have to figure out the dimensions and that kind of thing. Frankly, we have to see what we can afford for the budget that I set forward. And they turn into, it'd be great to say, hey, we can put a 20 by 20 addition on, but it may get to that point, the contractor come in and say, well, it's gonna be 300,000. Okay, well, maybe we need a 10 by 10, that's what we will have to do as time passes, is get more specific. It's kind of put the cart on the horse a little bit, but I was going on what we were advised to do.
Which one of these, bill, and walking through this bill, is it good for anything else that this office needs somewhere?
Not really, and that is the downside too, and that's why I tried to keep all the refrigeration movable as it goes. I mean, you can use it for dry storage, it can still be dry storage. And the other option is they make outdoor units. They're a lot more money, and that may be the better way to go, as you say, that's a great point, is just do an outdoor unit. They're pretty expensive, but by the time you do an addition,
Yeah, they're not as
Yeah.
expensive as this whole project.
yeah. You want to try?
They're not as expensive as this whole project.
It depends on the size. I looked at it, I want to say somewhere 40 or 50,000, but then it depends on your electric system. You can't handle you have the electric coming in and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of variables. And if it's something we need to table, we'll come back to. I'm not sure if that's going to hurt us as far as the time frame on having some kind of CIP in place. I don't know what it is. I don't know enough about that, frankly, but it's something we can change this resolution.
Yeah, we can do it, we can, as we get new information, we can just vote to amend it.
Okay.
And you come up and you find out, well,
Yeah, here's that way.
yeah, as we do the site analysis, as we do the scope and all that stuff, you find a better way to do it, less expensive.
Yeah, that sounds good. And I do like it. I like your idea more of looking at just an extra. And that's why I wanted to do originally with the mock-up. For one, it just won't take hold of. We got to insulate so much, you lose so much room, and then the refrigeration unit put in there, it was gonna be, it's still working as great dry storage, but.
The site analysis, accessibility for deliveries, that's gotta be done before you go very far with it.
I would think so.
And the site analysis doesn't have any cost, site analysis doesn't have cost attached to it.
Myself, I very, this is very vague. I don't know anything about it, just,
reason I'm saying that, would it be better if, unless there's a cost of the site analysis, which we can approve, it would be better to do the site analysis first, before we do this.
Yeah.
So that if anything comes up with that, then we can make an adjustment to this resolution.
I guess our part is it's gonna be buying a contractor in a reasonable amount of time before this is supposed to be done. I'm just going off of what we were told out there was we need to get this passed right away.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, okay.
And that's why I wanted we commend it as you go.
Yeah.
Because trying to get a contractor actually show up here might take months, frankly.
Okay. Well, then I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 2025-8.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? There are no. So resolution 2025-8 passes.
Like I said, we're not sure we'll have a lot further discussion on that as we go.
So this is, it doesn't pass.
No. It's just trying to set forth that we do have a capital improvement plan, and then we try to keep funding back for that, so we can have some funding in the future. And that's one thing everybody asked about when they passed the road infrastructure. They said, again, if you're gonna take 30% of whatever we always have in our general fund, we're never gonna be able to save for any type of improvements. Some of the bigger townships, they're building huge playgrounds, or they're building a new fire department, or they're like houses, and that's what this is. We were big enough and said we want to build new fire departments, that's what this would entail. We're just not that big. Let's see, starting to look through my notes here to see if there's anything.
We don't have any township roads, do we? They're all county.
Every road in our township is technically a township road.
They're all county.
I agree, but they're saying that they're in the township, so they want our taxpayers' money that's designed for poor relief to go to fix roads, even though that's what your property taxes are designed to do. What they're doing is they're lowering property taxes, or capping it at least, to make this voter happy, say, look what I did. But then they're gonna turn around and take money from over here to cover the money they just took.
Yeah.
Is all it is. No different, they're gonna force the state or the counties to put on new taxes if they want for sales tax and other things to cover for lost revenue from, there's what your county's gonna lose over $1 million revenue, I think, that's what I understand. So, yeah, I think it's around $1 million. So where are they supposed to get that from? The state, the governor looks great when he says, oh, look what I saved you, but then the counties look awful when they say, well, we're gonna have to raise your local taxes.
I didn't read about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it is, they're moving money from year to year to make something look better somewhere else. And then, according to this, we have to submit, and I don't know if it's the same capital improvement plan or if we have a new one, but they have to be submitted by September 30th each year. We're required to set up the fund and listen to requests. Okay, that's for the under. And like one of the notes they talked about, like if the town comes to us wanting money for a project, it says that we need to vet the project, have insurances that the projects are going to be done. And you can say no, just not sure how many times you can say no. There's a couple different statutes that put in here. And we were curious too, we're almost wondering if we can't do a resolution, and a few people asked out there, they, of course, the state said, well, on our donation funds, that we can't do a resolution saying the donation funds are restricted to support, the projects in the township, with whether it be a food pantry at school or, and so I don't know, that's something I'm trying to look into to see if we can figure it out. they may say, not too bad, you know, that's big for this whole company. Anytime I get a donation from anybody since I've been in office, I have a spreadsheet, I put, you know, guaranteed to donate $100 for back to school, and Smith donated whatever for food. And that way I show what it was specifically. And if it wasn't for anything, I just put it, you know, used for township program. But so important, obviously, anybody that was elected, you know, prior people, they didn't have that. You don't have a way to say, well, not true, of course. But as we try to point out, that the people aren't coming here to donate, you know, hundreds of dollars out of their pocket, so they can go to the road fund. It's obvious, but
So, as of now, we do not, our county does not have a road fund.
no, we don't. That's what we have to, by, at the end of September, we have to have it. And I don't know that my system even has the ability to put that line item in, or how to do it, where to do it. But at the end of the year, we have to transfer over whatever, 30% of whatever's left over for next year's budget. And unrestricted funds, we have to transfer that much over and then hang on to it for,
Well, Max Smith is president of the county council, which is the fiscal side of the county. I wonder if we would, in the future, want to have him come and.
like I said, there's supposed to be a countywide meeting coming up for that. If I understand, if I
Yeah,
understand.
you're right, you said that.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll have
I
some
don't know
better.
if we would want.
But we can, yeah, we
something
certainly can.
specific for the township, if we've got questions that.
Sure. If he knows, I mean, he may be sitting where we are too, waiting on the state to get some direction. But yeah, I know there's a lot of unclear mud between all of this. Yeah. And they are too, but the state people been up there, they said, they're like, we don't know.
He just made comments, one not going to be funding, the township's not going to be funding those, that he might have been just speaking off the top of his
Yeah.
head.
Well, it's not what's designed for. The problem is we have to put that money over. Then it becomes restricted for road and infrastructure. But in that, does that mean if we need to build a new community center for the township, that's infrastructure, can be used for that? You know, there's a lot of gray area and a lot of questions that no one had answers to. Yeah. Again, because they passed this in the middle of the night. Doesn't surprise me. Yeah. They passed it all in the middle of the night to make somebody happy with no rules or guidelines. Anyway, yeah, it was not a lot of informative news, but update on the fire, because I reached out to Alan, who's the town council president, a few times, I got no response. I did know, I get a monthly report from the fire chief, and in the last 2 months, he requested in his meeting minutes a report with the town council that he wanted to have a meeting with them and us to discuss the fire contract. So I finally reached out to one of the other council members last week, and I said, why are you not going to tell him that we've already discussed the fire contract and have it ironed out? But he finally did. He sent an email, I was on it, we were all on it. And he said, Rick, we don't need to have a meeting. He said, we've already got this handled out. And he said, well, I'm the fire chief, I wasn't involved. So he sent me a text yesterday, Rick, the fire chief, and wanted to, he said, I need to have a meeting with you to discuss the contract. So I spoke to another town council member, because Alan still didn't get back to me. And I said, you guys gave him direction already in an email that said, you don't need to have a meeting. I said, so I don't think it's proper for him to reach out to me and say, hey, I want to have a meeting about the contract. And he said, no, I agree. He said, just tell him to wait till Alan gets back from vacation and we can all have a meeting. Yeah. So that's why he didn't respond to my message. I just told him, I said, well, when your council president gets back, we can sit down and figure that one. But in that, I sent an email out in the last couple of days to town council because I still don't have any type of contract in my hand. And they told me when we discussed this one back in March that they would use it all by the summer, we'll have a rough draft. So we can all have this approved before budget times. So my email wasn't real pleasant. I just said, hey, yet again, this is the third year in a row that we're coming down to crunch time, and you guys tell me every year we're going to do this, and nothing's happened. And I got no response.
So, that's what all involves, the fire trucks.
Yeah.
Title.
Our contract, yeah, that we pay for fire coverage and the title and trucks. That was all discussed in the previous meeting. And I just want to give you an update on that, that I can see it blowing up.
Who's their attorney?
I said, no, they got a new one, I think, I think,
John, okay. That's,
maybe, I don't know.
okay.
I don't know that Alan even spoke to him about, I don't know that Alan spoke to the rest of the town council. He told me he did, and because he ran it past them and said, hey, here's what we're looking at. They all said, that sounds great, let's do it. And I was told by somebody else that Rick knows what the contract is because he complained to them and said that it's a bad deal. That our trucks are gonna cost them too much, that cost too much money, that they're gonna have to pay for repairs and all this, and then get insurance. And I said, well, give me a list of repairs that you've had to do in the last 3 years since I've been here. You don't have it. So what repairs have you been doing? You know, because they were supposed to come to us with a bill, or if you did, and you're not giving me a bill. So he just doesn't like it because he was involved.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's gonna blow up in the public here pretty soon, because my guess is the next board meeting that they have, he's gonna throw it about not being involved. That's on them. Their council decided that we need to have a subcommittee between myself and one of their representatives to figure it out, take it back to each of our boards and say, does this work? And that's what we did.
Yeah, we just did what they said.
Yeah. And, you know, it's his, he works for them, not for us. But
Okay, that's all I got.
you guys don't have anything. I think at this point, I got the budget pretty much as preliminary done, but that's where I'm looking at too. I'm kind of in the background. I think I'm gonna probably go ahead and budget for insurance on the fire trucks anyway. So I'm afraid they're gonna stick us in and not have it done by the end of the year. And the only recourse I got is to basically start playing really hardball then and say, fine, we're done. And that's a whole other.
Yeah, hopefully,
Yeah. So I'm gonna probably go ahead and budget for insurance on the trucks, just cover our butts, that way we don't have to do major meetings and stuff, and move funds later. And hopefully we don't have to use it. And it'll stay in the fire fund that we don't anyway, so. So anyway, I'll email you guys about it. The future meeting probably coming up with, probably towards the end of August, and we can go over the budget. And then I think we'll do the actual, advertised meetings that we have to do, two separate meetings to adopt the budget and approve the budget. And I think we'll do those, I think, in September, I believe. I got a meeting, with DOT, to look at the budget in August anyway, so once we get that done, if that sounds good.
that's good.
Today, we could be at 1 o'clock, is there anything in the
Oh, I
morning?
prefer the morning. We did it 1 o'clock, did you have one, or Max did something?
No.
I did.
Yeah, you did.
I had, but
Yeah, no, I prefer morning, because I'm not here yet,
I
I
had
have
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
days,
so.
Oh, okay.
If I'm here on Wednesday, because the office is set up and closes at noon on Wednesdays, and if I am here, it's because I'm working on hash boxes, so.
Yeah, you go in the morning now, I guess.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I didn't have a problem, we could have just switched the meeting to a different day.
It was, my week is, I would be mowing and be 2:30.
No, yeah. No, I know I prefer morning anyway, because I'm here, so that works.
They planned for this meeting, so.
Anything else?
So it might be at 10 o'clock.
Usually, like, we've been to 9 if that works, or we can usually 9.
9's fine with me.
Okay.
That's fine for me. I'll move that we adjourn this meeting. All in favor? Aye. Meeting's adjourned. I need to go, Paula said something was exploding in my, she said something exploding in my storage building.
Oh,
I'm thinking, I'm guessing there was all cans in there.